It's your boy, Baby Blue Mind, reporting live from these streets. If you haven't seen me before, what I do is sort of walk around the earth and rant about what's on my mind. And so tonight I'm on my second walk of the day. I went for a 7 mile this morning and now I'm on my third mile right now. Just really kind of enjoying myself today because that's my thing, is walking and talking. So for this evening's video, it sort of goes out to anyone out there who might be feeling really isolated in their lives. And this could be for any number of reasons. First, maybe let's say you don't have a lot of friends or something like that, and you're just kind of feeling really isolated. Maybe you haven't been out of the house, or you're just kind of feeling down about yourself because you don't really have anyone to talk to, or you just don't really have a lot of interpersonal relationships, or you just don't have a lot of friends. And I can totally understand that it can be a really tough situation. And also to people who might be feeling really depressed right now, I understand that when you're depressed, because I've been there before plenty of times, when you're depressed, it's kind of tough to get out into the world and just be a part of society because, well, there's obviously many reasons. And let me preface this by saying I'm obviously not a medical doctor or anything like that. So listen to your psychiatrist and your therapist over any words that I have to say. But when you're depressed, the idea of kind of just being around people or being out in society can just seem almost like repulsive to you. And that's a tricky situation because it's tough to get in movement and get out into the world, especially if you're just really depressed and you're on your bed or you're on your couch. And then for just the third type of person that this video might benefit from is anyone who has any form of anxiety, or if you may even have like social anxiety or something like that. If you have anxiety, or at least the way that I've experienced anxiety, you're almost kind of worried to get onto the world because you're like, oh man, what if something bad happens, or what if people are judging me, or any number of things that kind of prevent you from getting out into the world. Like what if people are just like mean to me, or what if I don't know where to go, or what if I don't know what to do. Anxiety can take so many different sinister formats, as I'm sure you're aware if you experience it. And so good morning or good evening. So if you're experiencing any of those things or any number of other things that are keeping you isolated, this video might be for you. Just because what I'm doing right now is there's this Christmas fair in the area that I live in. And so I'm just kind of getting out here and walking by myself just to kind of maybe demonstrate that the world ain't such a scary place, and it's just kind of a good time if you experience it. And I'll just step back by saying that during the pandemic, I was in a real, and damn, how crazy was the pandemic? We just totally forgot about that. Everyone's a completely different person since the pandemic. We just totally gloss over it like nothing happened at this point. But so when I was in the pandemic times, I was living by myself in an apartment, and I just went through this extremely deep period of isolation just because obviously they locked everything down and there was nowhere that I could go. There was nothing that I could really do. And so it felt like I was basically a prisoner in solitary confinement for an extended period of time. And so that was really difficult at first, just trying to find activities and stuff to occupy my mind. But then once I sort of did that, and maybe I'll make another video about how to do activities that occupy your mind if you're in isolation, because that's kind of critical to combating it. But when I was in that period of isolation, after I was in isolation for long enough and I just sort of found my own way to combat it, what I did is my isolation and loneliness eventually evolved into being comfortable with solitude. And I think solitude, at least for me, how I experience it, is when you find a way to combat loneliness to the point where solitude becomes your new status quo and you're sort of comfortable. I'm not saying that, I mean, I think everybody experiences loneliness to some degree. Even if you're in a relationship, you know what loneliness feels like, even if you're in a relationship maybe. But I think solitude and my comfort with solitude occurred because I just sort of made friends with the loneliness and came up with ways to just sort of defeat it. And I'm happy to explain those at a later date if it might be interesting. But the purpose of today's video, like, you can just see all around me, like, there's mad people out here and everyone's just completely enjoying themselves. There's no hard feelings. Everybody's just chilling. And if you haven't figured it out by now, it's Christmas time. And if you don't like Christmas time and you don't like Santa, you can lose my phone number because it's like the best time of the year. And so I'm just completely in the middle of everything right now, and like I can't really socialize because I'm holding up a stick in the middle of a crowd. But it's just to kind of show you that being out, and even if you're, this is kind of something that I found, because like I have a lot of friends, but I understand because of the solitude and isolation that I've experienced in my life, I can sort of put myself in the mind of a person who doesn't really have that many friends. And maybe that's you right now, but maybe just as kind of an exercise, if you're just feeling really kind of stuck inside the four walls of your place, you could always just take a walk by yourself. And it doesn't have to be in some kind of like crowded, super crowded area like that. If you're in some kind of metropolis, you can just walk down the street, and like there's no legislation saying you can't walk by yourself down a street. And the other thing about that too is like no one cares about you. If you look around, everybody's doing their own thing here. No one's like, what's that guy doing and what's that guy talking about? No one cares whatsoever. And I think you can get all up in your head, especially if you have any kind of anxiety or maybe even just mild agoraphobia or full-on agoraphobia, is that you might think people are judging you at all times. Man, you got to remember, everybody's way too tied up with their own lives to think about you. You don't, I'm not saying you don't matter as a person, but like in the grand scheme of people that are walking around, you don't matter. Like no one's thinking about you. So you can literally just walk around the world and no one out here is gonna bite me. No one's gonna, punch me. Man, I gotta stay away from that. Where is it? I missed it. There's a ice cream place over there. I gotta stay away from that place, man. Your boy has like a serious ice cream problem. I need like rehab for ice cream. If anybody knows of any places that specialize in rehab for ice cream consumers, that's that would be up my alley. So just let me know if you know of any ice cream rehabs in the Florida area. And like, look at how cool this is, man. There's people just out here congregating. You got like, kids just chilling. Families kind of doing their own thing, and everybody's just out here having a good time. And it's easy to forget that when you're trapped within the four walls of your home. If you're experiencing that kind of isolation, is that it might be helpful for you, and I know it's super difficult, especially if you're super in that deep depressive rut, or if you have really high anxiety. It's super difficult for you to be like, okay, I'm gonna get out of the house and go do something. And I have another video called How to Get Out of Bed that might help you with that if you're interested in like the literal logistics of how to get out of your house. So I would check that out if that's something that interests you. But even just walking around here, being among people, I'm not necessarily even socializing, but the key is that I'm around life. I'm around life because when you're stuck in the four walls of your home, you're not experiencing life. You're experiencing other people existing and living their lives through different TV shows or, different items of media that you're consuming. And I heard someone say one time, this is a little bit off topic, but I figured I'd just share it here because it came to my mind. And apologies if someone else already said this, I can't remember where it came from. But if aliens were to come down to Earth right now and just observe our species, they would call us the cult of the glowing rectangles. Because all we do all day is just look at glowing rectangles, whether it be your phone, whether it be your iPad, or whether it be your TV. And so what I try to do, and again, I'm super comfortable in solitude, so I could take this or leave this because I really enjoy being in my house by myself after making friends with solitude. But what I like to try to do is break free from that cult of the glowing rectangle and just get out, which is ironic because I have a glowing rectangle right in front of my face right now. So I understand that's being a little, hypocritical. This is super loud over here, so I'll try to talk directly into the camera. So, but even now, there's mad people walking around of all different ages, credos, doesn't matter. It's just a universal event, and it's helpful. There's lots of movement. There's music. There's activity. So, and when you're stuck in the four walls of your home, you don't get to experience any of this, and you're essentially completely walled off from life. So one of the things that might be helpful for you, and again, I'll say it again, man, you don't need friends to come and do something like this. I have friends, but I like walking by myself, and so it just might be a beneficial activity for you to get in some fashion to get outside the four walls of your own home and just sort of experience life in a different fashion than you otherwise would. I shouldn't have gone there. Sorry, coming through. Talking about isolation and depression. So, yeah. Almost get hit by a car in the middle of a rant. That's always fun. That's not the first time, and it will not be the last. So, yeah, if you're, and man, listen, your boy has been there a million times over. I know how difficult it is to get up and get off the couch if you're in that state of depression where everything just feels like you're moving through black honey, and it's just so difficult even just to get off the couch because all you want to do is sit there and do absolutely nothing. I totally understand that. Or if you're experiencing anxiety, man, the world can just seem like a really scary place, and it's really tough to kind of get that mental momentum going where you finally pierce it and you're like, okay, because the key to defeating any kind of anxiety, and listen, been there before, the key to defeating any kind of anxiety is finally getting up those sort of war juices in you to say, I'm gonna go and do some stuff that I feel completely uncomfortable doing. And man, is that difficult. I completely understand you on that one. But I would look up something, and not a psychologist, nothing like that, but it might be beneficial for you even if you don't have a diagnosed anxiety disorder. It might be beneficial for you to look up something called exposure therapy. And I'll look it up if you want to get a better definition than what I'm about to deliver now. But exposure therapy is kind of like if you, and again, this could be completely not, this is my non-medical opinion of what exposure therapy means. Exposure therapy is kind of just like gradually exposing yourself to something that you're fearful of. And people who might be watching this, just seeing me walk through that crowd of people, you might be like, there's no way I could possibly do that. There's too much stuff going on. So I'm not totally understood and totally acceptable. But one of the things you might do just instead, and I know it seems kind of simple, but you could, if you can muster up the energy just to get out of your apartment or house or wherever you live, you could just go to, let's say you like coffee or something like that. You could go to the local coffee shop and just set your task for, treat it like a literal exercise. No one's gonna know you're doing this, by the way. No one's gonna be like, oh, this person's doing an exercise to defeat her anxiety. Nah. Just go to the local coffee shop and order a coffee like you always do, or maybe you don't do because you're, maybe a little trapped in your house with anxiety. But go to, it can just be so simple. You can just go to your local coffee shop and order a coffee, and when you see the barista, just say, man, how about this weather lately? Maybe it's been raining a lot, maybe it's been sunny. If it's good weather, just be like, oh man, how about this sunny weather? They're not gonna bite you. They're gonna be like, yeah, it's been kind of. Now, at least you did some form of social interaction. And at least what I've found in my life is when I start doing some kind of social interaction or just, being around people and stuff like that, it sort of builds momentum where I like to socialize more and I like to be around people more and more, which isn't my natural instinct because I prefer solitude. And so anything, especially if you're anxious or depressed, especially if you're anxious or depressed, just any kind, even if it feels a little forced, no one's judging you for it, man. Like, in the grand scheme of things, even if the interaction can't go horribly, if you just say to the barista, hey, how about this weather or something like that, she's not gonna be like, get out of here, you weirdo. She's gonna be like, oh yeah, it's been interesting. And now you kind of pierce that fear a little bit. And it's so difficult these days, I think, for people to make friends, and especially for making new friends. And I certainly know that it's difficult for everybody to make friends, but I think it's also difficult, or super difficult for men, especially as you get older, to make friends. Because where are you gonna make new man friends? At the bar or something like that, or I don't know, golfing or something. But it's just you're making friends as a male, especially when you're older, isn't just like a common sort of thing. And so I totally understand if you're in one of those periods of isolation where you might not have any friends. And I'm not saying going out and talking to the barista at your local coffee shop is going to make you any friends or anything, but at least it kind of got you in motion socially. And that's just kind of the goal. Because listen, at the end of the day, you really only have one life. And I know, guy or girl, it's so difficult to just get out there, and it feels like you're completely vulnerable. It feels like you're walking around the streets naked if you have anxiety or depression. But remember, no one's really paying attention to you. I just walked through not a major metropolitan area, but a pretty large place with people everywhere. Did you see me get bit? Did you see me get punched? People didn't even notice I was there, and I'm holding a big camera up in front of my face. No one even had any idea that I was there. You can do, if you want to, you can do stealth experience of life if you want to. There's no legislation against that. And remember, it gets you out the house and it gets you out into society. Even if you're not socializing with everyone, you're still at least doing some kind of proactive step, and maybe that'll get your mind in motion to kind of take some more social chances. And I totally understand, like, let's say you're just like kind of a socially awkward person, which I totally understand because I definitely had, especially when I was younger, like types of social anxiety. Let's say you just have a lot of social anxiety, or you're just a person you're just awkward. You know what I mean? That I'm not judging you, that you're just like an awkward guy or girl. That's totally understandable. It's not a negative thing. That's just like, that's kind of how you are. No big deal. And but if you have to, or you don't have to, this is just sort of a suggestion, but the more that you sort of practice any kind of social interaction, if you're one of those people who's a little bit awkward, the better off you're gonna be, because you develop a comfort with just sort of being around people and understanding the various kind of ways that people operate. So if you want to, you certainly don't have to, but maybe take kind of a social risk today. Maybe you talk to that barista. I don't know, maybe you're a dude and you talk to that cute girl in your class, or you talk to that cute girl somewhere. Again, she's not gonna bite you. And I'm not saying be creepy about it, just like say hi, what's up? And you can do that. There's no legislation saying you can't say hi to someone that I'm aware of. I don't know. At least not in the United States. Maybe in some other nations you're like not allowed to say hi to other individuals because you're under government surveillance or something like that. But at least in the United States, you're allowed to say hi to people if you want to. And maybe they say hi back, maybe they don't. Like when when I'm out for my morning walks and stuff like that, I say good morning to a lot of people, and a lot of people just like walk by and don't say hi back, and I'm like, all right, what are you gonna do? It's not like it's gonna ruin my day. Maybe you say hi, what's up to someone, and it just goes horribly. Something like nothing came of it, nothing good happened whatsoever. Okay, whatever, you just keep walking. There's no real downside to it. And then there's no reason to dwell on that stuff if you have some kind of social interaction go poorly, because I guarantee you, whatever person you had that social interaction or attempted social interaction with, they're definitely not thinking about that whatsoever. They're thinking about the rest of their life. They're thinking about the problems that they have. They're thinking about any number of things that have absolutely nothing to do with you. And so what kind of happens, at least this is the way that I've experienced it, when I've been in depression, or I've been in anxiety, or I've been in isolation, you're basically the center of your own world. You're the main character, you're the beginning and end. And that's an interesting situation, because you're not really thinking about any other people, and other people is kind of the purpose of life, in my humble opinion. And again, I guess I'll get on my soapbox a little bit here, but in today's day and age, like, narcissism is the status quo. Like, everybody just thinks about themselves all the time, especially in, I understand it's ubiquitous, but social media, like, come on, it's everyone is just so egocentric, obviously, and I understand that's just the nature of the ball game at this point. But I think that the more that you put yourself in a position to do some form of social interaction, and I know this might sound like a little mechanical, because there's some people who are kind of just natural people at interacting and everything like that, but it's because they had a lot of practice, basically. So if you're in that isolation, if you're in that depression, if you're in that anxiety, maybe just try to pierce it with some sort of random social interaction at some point. And believe me, no one's going to be like, oh, this person's definitely doing an exercise to defeat their social anxiety right now. No one's thinking like that at all. So you can make it mechanical if you want. There's no legislation saying you can't do that. So I would really encourage anyone it's kind of cool because now, and also I'll say this to sort of end the video, I was just around like mad people, but now I'm sort of in a position of relative solitude. And when you enjoy other people and everything like that, it kind of makes that solitude like that much more enjoyable, actually. So I don't know, just something to consider. I'll end this video with this just like dope statue right here. This thing's gigantic, by the way. I don't know if you can tell. Let me back up. This thing, like, the video probably doesn't do it justice. The thing's absolutely enormous. In Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Las Olas, if you want to check it out. But just really cool statue. So I'm gonna go, and thanks for listening to my rant. Hopefully it was somewhat intelligible, because it was a little difficult walking through the middle of the busiest road in my city. But yeah, I'm gonna go and get some food for tonight because I've walked like 10 miles, so I'm pretty hungry, as you might imagine. I think I might go get like a burrito or something like that because I haven't had one in a while. I'm pretty excited for that. But man, I'm all over the place now. But yeah, thanks for checking it out. And if you want to try any of the stuff that I suggested, knock yourself out. It could be beneficial. Maybe it's not for you, you know. Everybody's got their own thing. So I hope that you have an absolutely wonderful evening or morning or afternoon or wherever you're watching this from. And this is your boy, Baby Blue Mind, just walking around and ranting stuff for no reason in particular. And I hope you guys have a wonderful whatever it is that you're having right now. And my rant is over.